And allow me to welcome our esteemed panelists, Thomas Dunn, the CEO of Orbian, who has been holding this position for more than 2 decades. And Orbian is a global leader in supply chain financing and specialist leader. Welcome. Then a person who I don't have to introduce, Adam Šoukal, who is our local leader in working capital financing, the CEO and founder of large FinTech, Roger. His success dates more than 10 years, a decade, yes? So decade, 2 decades. We have here, I would like to say, a father FinTech and the son FinTech. So you can see that FinTechs which started in last century became global now, which is inspiration for you. And our third esteemed guest is Eduard Dvořák from the company MoroSystems. MoroSystems is one of the leading Czech software integrators and enterprise integrators and supplier of bright ideas to financial industry and FinTech, including my startup Partners Banka originally. So welcome, and I will start with Thomas. Thomas, some people here might not know about Orbian because you were a bit pushed away by the brand and successful work of Adam on this market. Can you please briefly introduce your role, your customers, and your global reach?
Does that work? Yes, that's good. Okay, good morning, and it's lovely to be here in Prague. It's a city that I've visited on many times, but the first time visiting kind of with the privilege of actually having business here in the Czech Republic, so it's great. But this is, I promise, this is the one slide that we will put up here during this panel to kind of talk about things. But I just thought for all of your information, given that Orbian may not be a company that you're familiar with, that it was worth putting a slide up that you could take a photo of and you can take home and show your children tonight and enjoy it. Orbian is a big company. It was first founded in 1999 as a joint venture between Citibank and SAP. And that's sort of been the DNA of the company ever since. We don't think of ourselves as a fintech, and one of the things we'll talk about later on in this panel is the difference between fintech companies and what we feel that we are, how we describe ourselves, which is that we are a technology-enabled financial services company. And there's a very important distinction between those two, which we'll elaborate later on. But Orbian now, it's operated since 1999. It was taken private from Citibank and SAP in 2004. And since then, the capital structure has evolved and the business has developed. We now operate in a little over 60 countries around the world. Our focus very much is on what we call supply chain finance, which is the purchase under true sale protocols of confirmed receivables. So we concentrate on the payables financing. It's sometimes described as reverse factoring, but that has been the focus that we have. We have a suite of products now that include virtual payment cards and various risk management tools that enable buyers and suppliers across the globe to kind of best meet their respective working capital objectives that they're each set. I put some numbers up here regarding our asset size and our revenues and whatever. I think that the number that's not up here that I would kind of, is that over the last, and this is an important distinction when thinking about the supply chain finance sector generally, it is one that is characterized by very low margins, a very high level of competition, but Orbian has managed to carve out for itself a very substantial moat around the business that it does. Over the last 5 years, we have generated after tax and after investment, sort of CapEx investments, a little over $80 million, so closing in on 2 billion Czech crowns of free cash flow, which we've variously invested. That investment has been split, or that fund's then been split about 2/3 into strategic investments that we have made, including the acquisition of Roger, which we completed last year, but a series of other strategic investments, and then 1/3 that has been paid to our shareholders as dividends. And that is something that I always think it's important to state at kind of events like this, is that ultimately there are shareholders that need to be looked after. They either need to be fed via an exit sale, or they need to be fed through reasonably reliable and regular payments as a return on their investment. And we've taken that responsibility very seriously at Orbian over the last several years. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for interaction. When the local fintech is acquired by a global company, it's typically perceived as the end of story. But the presence of you three means something different. It looks like there is a new start and there is some new work to do. So I will start again, Tom, with you, and then I will go one by one. What was the reason why you acquired Roger? Why you actually were pointing to this opportunity and made it your priority?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Adam and I were first introduced about 6 or 7 years ago, before the pandemic, and we spent some time together discussing our respective businesses. Nothing happened then. The pandemic got in the way, and then Roger, they took a new shareholder, KB, the subsidiary of SocGen, acquired a 25% stake. And then towards the beginning, or towards the end of 2024, we re-engaged. We'd stayed in touch, but we hadn't really been focusing too much on kind of business discussions. And there was the opportunity there was an opportunity to reacquire the shares that SocGen had previously bought. And that, for me, I really liked the business. I really liked Adam and his leadership team, but acquiring a 25% stake didn't make a great deal of sense to us. And so instead, we were able to put together a workable transaction that saw Orbian acquire 100% of Roger, partially for cash, which was paid out to SocGen and to a couple of other institutional shareholders, and then equity in Orbian that was issued to the owners and founders of Roger. There was never a single question that this was the end of the road. In fact, everything that motivated us to do this transaction was about the additionality of things that we were going to be getting from Roger. Roger had an adjacent supply chain finance business. That was great. That added clients to us. Particularly, they have a fantastic footprint in the e-commerce sector, and we were very keen to learn about that sector and to do that. They have a very important business in an area that we haven't currently done, which is accounts receivable financing, which is factoring, a very different business from supply chain finance or payables financing, one that we were keen, however, to start to learn about in order best to serve our clients. And thirdly, there's just an amazing pool of talent within Roger that we felt that we would be able to develop all sorts of value-added opportunities from working more closely with that team. So there was never a question that this was the end of the road. This was always the beginning of a new chapter.
Okay, it sounds to me that Komerční banka did a very great job. I originally come from incumbent too, so part of the story is also that the incumbent and transforming bank is helping the Czech startups to grow and then is allowing them to exit to the hands of the global specialists. So Adam, what do you bring to Roger? Will you be dissoluted and dissolved in the Roger family, or what is your competence which is relevant to the group?
So I'm still staying as a CEO of Roger. I like that job. I'll keep it if I can. Looking at the group level, so Roger is the only regulated entity in the Orbian group, and I think Czech Republic is a good place to be regulated in. The Czech National Bank has been very good. Every time we went through regulatory process, and we have done 3 of them, so we have learned a lot, and I think it's a much better license, for instance, than being in Baltics. It's just perceived really well, and we never had problem passporting it. So one of the things that I kind of look after on a group level is this part, the regulatory, and what we work on especially now is the B2B payments. So we work a lot on the international payments, like and it's thanks to this merger that we have done that we are able to get dollars to China in 18 hours, which was unheard of, and a lot of our clients and Orbian clients are benefiting from that. So that's one thing that I'm looking after. And the other thing is the product line that Tom spoke about, and that's the receivables business. So we have started as a peer-to-peer factoring platform, and the account receivables factoring business is something that still accounts for 1/3 of our incomes. And because Orbian does not have that in their product portfolio, so wherever there is opportunity, Roger can come in and offer that product to Orbian clients. And thanks to that, we now are servicing US deals, which I like very much because my ambition always was to be an international company. And Tom just has a great platform to make this possible. So it's about the regulatory framework that we have on a group level. It's about the product proposition. Obviously, the e-commerce bit that I'll just echo on what Tom said. 68% of Czech e-commerce is using our platform to finance their suppliers. And we have made a great footprint, so e-commerce is something that we also, whenever there is an RFP on a group level, we are part of it. So those are my areas.
Okay, perfect. So I hope that in a payment area you will be more swift than a company called Swift, and this will bring some better customer experience. And Eduard, MoroSystems, how have you been supporting Roger before the acquisition, and how your role has developed after the acquisition of Roger by Orbian?
Thank you. We are on the market for 20 years, though, not long as Orbian. So, but we are offering our services to financial institutions and fintechs as well. So I believe that's why Roger introduced us to Orbian, and to help them with their system. We are not fintech, and we are developing software, I would say, really in a good way, so we can support the businesses such as Orbian. And they are in a transition period, moving from old system or existing one to the new one. And we were invited to this phase, help them to scale their new system. So that was the story. And I believe that thanks to our very good work in Czech Republic, and then of course outside, because we have many projects outside Czech Republic, that was the expertise that Adam noticed and his team, and introduced us to Orbian.
Let's look closer to Orbian group business, so that MoroSystems has more perspective and knows what to do in the future. How is your business developing, basically? What is your unique proposition, Thomas? Because you must have one if you are global. And how it's developing going forward, and how is Roger supporting it in the future?
Okay, so I think that if you like, the core USP for Orbian has always been that our service levels and the product offering around what we're doing in the core supply chain finance programs will be the best in the world. And I'll refer back to the thing that was 14 times named the best. And we know that the awards are awards, and they sometimes, but just the sheer consistency of the way that we are recognized has been very important for us, because our main competitors are giant banks. Our main competitors are Citibank and JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank and Bank of America. The only way that we're able to compete with them is by offering a service that is attuned to the needs of these multinational global corporations in a way that they feel is they are getting the very best of the best. So that's always been the underlying USP. To that, and those are easy things to say. How does one actually go about delivering that day in, day out? The first thing is by having the robustness of a system that is not necessarily right at the leading edge, because sometimes the leading edge can be the bleeding edge of technology, but it is there, it's in a situation that nobody feels that they would do materially better by going to a different provider. And that's been a big part of the work that we've been doing with MoroSystems. I must say that the introduction to Moro was an unexpected bonus of our acquisition of Roger. It's a great shame that, and it's not a great reflection on us, is that we hadn't discovered MoroSystems before. But once we had an office in Brno and we were around the corner from Moro, we discovered them, and has been outstanding partners for us already. So the first thing is to have the system. The second thing then is to have a culture of customer service excellence that permeates the company from top to bottom, and that it is recognizing that every program, every piece of business is a reflection of what the clients are seeking to do and to achieve. A supply chain finance program is not ours, it's not the bank's, it is the buyer's program working together with their suppliers in a collaborative fashion. And everything that we do is designed from a service perspective, designed to support that. And then from a product perspective, the product innovations that we have done around, for example, the virtual payment card and around the interest rate risk management tools that we have created are designed to further the evidence that we are there to support a buyer and supplier in their joint working capital collaboration together.
One more question to you. The Orbian approach is sometimes called bank agnostic. For me, it's an ugly word. I know it from the technology agnostic, which means that you work with everyone, you don't have preferences. I would rephrase it rather as a partnership. Am I true? And do you enter in a partnership with corporates on one side and the banks on the other side to be really, as a specialist, focus on solution? On what's the concept?
Yeah, it's a great question. And yeah, agnostic is not the world's best word, but in bank agnostic, whether agnostic is the truly ugly word, and we'll leave to everybody here in the fintech world. What we mean by this is that, so in any program transaction, there are three parties. There's the buyer, there's the supplier, and there is the funder. There's typically a bank. There's been a little bit of growing interest from non-bank providers of liquidity, but still the majority of funding comes from banks. When we talk about bank agnostic, what we mean is that there is a complete separation of the contractual relationships between each of those parties as far as the program is concerned. And this is vital in terms of building the resilience of the program. Because what it means is that any one bank can drop out of the program. They can decide that they actually don't want to take exposure to that particular industry anymore, or they don't want to take exposure to that particular company anymore, or they've used up a lot of their capacity, of their credit capacity, providing a bridge loan for an M&A transaction that the company has done. All of these things can disrupt the flow of liquidity to the suppliers if there is a direct link contractually between that bank and a particular supplier. And what Orbian has done uniquely is to ensure that there is not that direct linkage. Every supplier, every program gets funded by Orbian in, to use a word that's even uglier than agnostic, in a fully fungible way. So the money that we raise from different sources of liquidity can flow equally to suppliers regardless of where it's coming from. And so if a bank decides that either temporarily or permanently they want to withdraw from a program or reduce their capacity, the suppliers don't need to make any changes. We simply fund from a different source and flow the funding through.
Okay, thank you for explanation. I promise to be a bit provocative, so I'm attacking your buzzwords a bit. There is always room for improvement. Adam, from your perspective, if you look at the market development, where do you see the companies are aiming? What they are requiring from you to improve and to get better? Where do you see the market is going?
So there are two things. So on the supplier side, I think a lot of SMEs, those are ultimately the companies that are paying our fees. So those are our clients, and they are really important for us. They are looking for good customer experience. So we have not been the market because we were having the most funding or the cheapest funding or being the biggest institution. We always were winning the deals because the experience of the suppliers, of those who need the liquidity was really good. They come to the platform, they double click something, and in 24 hours it's on their account. And this is kind of experience that fintechs can deliver. In in the segments where it was not previously possible for the banks. So I think that suppliers are just looking for that being very easy. Czech Republic is the number 1 or 2 country in using payments by phone. So you know each of you like how important the experience is. On the buyer side, what companies are looking for and how we get all this e-commerce business back in the day was because they want to make their processes very simple. They don't want to do repetitive works. They don't want to transmit files to different interfaces and doing repetitive things that can be done automatically. So how we want the relationship with the buyers is via APIs connectivity, being able to read the data and just eliminate the unnecessary human touch. So I think that's what our partners and buyers are expecting from us. And the funding partners, the banks, what they expect from us is almost radical transparency in what we do, how we channel the funds to the suppliers, how we collect the funds, how we get the data about the underlying assets, and how we translate that data for our funding partners. So each of the links have different needs. And yeah, we've probably done something right on the way because we are where we are.
Eduard, when you now support the whole group, to which extent the requirements have changed for you, and is there anything you can say how you had to develop and how you are learning from it?
I would start that MoroSystems is focusing on the financial services industry for last 8 to 10 years. So it gives us some expertise and knowledge about this industry in order to understand these companies better. So when we start the supporting on changing their systems, then it's much easier for us to do the right decisions, find the right platform for them. So we just approached this project for Orbian. At the stage it was like a few years of development has been already completed. So at the beginning we had to do some initial assessment. So since then, so back like 1 year, there are of course changes, but we know that it's happening, it's live, so we can accommodate that, and we are just working on some other stages. So we have a few production releases behind us, and we are in a starting point with the migrating new customers or existing customers to the new system. So it's challenging, but it's very interesting.
Thomas, it seems that the platform and the infrastructure and the whole technology plays a key role in Orbian's history and the future. Why the banks do not do it themselves? Why they do not copy you? What is the unique and sustainable element of your business model?
Well, I think that and it's actually a challenge across the industry, is that too many of the banks do have these platforms and these systems. There was an RFP that went out in the middle of last year for a very kind of large, glamorous, attractive Scandinavian company. It attracted 32 responses. That is a measure of actually how many, and of those 32, probably 25 were different banks, members of their banking syndicate, their core revolving credit facilities, that would have each said, we have a capability to be able to do this. Now, some of those, it's little more than an Excel spreadsheet and a series of email communications. Others have fully fledged platforms and systems. That having been said, what we're seeing increasingly is that more and more people are recognizing that is a very inefficient way to operate. That in fact, by working with Orbian, they can, and I don't want to use the word outsource it as supply chain finance as a service, but it's getting towards that level of delivery, whereby the client can provide the bank can provide the client and the funding, and Orbian will deliver everything that sits in between. So the technology, the KYC, the supplier onboarding, the supplier contracting, and will provide the bank, having been, if you like, introduced to the client on one side, through the the factory that is Orbian, out will come these neatly packaged little sausages that are the assets that the bank wants to hold against the supply chain finance program. And that is hugely advantageous from the bank, not only in terms of operational efficiencies, but also in terms of the allocation of capital that they need to put into the business.
Thank you. Coming back a bit to the CEE perspective, when you were selecting a technology partner for your group, what was the reason why you selected MoroSystems as a technology company? What is it unique in this proposal?
I don't think there was. I mean, the uniqueness about MoroSystems was that they clearly impressed us with their capabilities and their application. As I said, it was an unexpected bonus of our acquisition of Roger and spending time in Brno, which is obviously a center anyway for fintech excellence based around the quality of the university there and at the young people that are coming out and into the industry there. We had previously had a development part. We'd had a development part that we'd worked with for a long time that had been a great success. We then migrated to as we were going through a kind of a major platform rework. We then ended up, and one of the things we have to do occasionally in this, to be honest about business, is to say when occasionally we make a mistake, and we made a mistake with the technology partner that we had development partner that we had for a while. And then when we were introduced to Moro, it was really a case of, okay, this is what we've been looking for. This is the kind of organization that we have really been seeking to have. Frankly, the fact that they were based in the Czech Republic was not so important. The fact that they were just completely excellent from in an absolute sense on an international standard was what was important to us.
Thank you. It's nice to hear. So Adam, as for the CE business opportunities, where do you see the main opportunities and challenges?
I mean, there are two regions that are now kind of driving the growth of Europe, and that's south. So Spain is doing really well, and also the CE. So it's us, Czech Republic, Poland, and I think that there is still a huge gap in working capital. If we look at the statistics, I mean, we are on kind of 30–40% of European average. How penetrated our kind of products are in the market. So there is a lot of work to be done, and just filling that gap, we are able to grow here by 30%. So we will keep doing what we're doing. And I think that there will be more and more demand coming in. Also, I'm very excited about the e-invoicing initiative. I think it will even increase the quality of the market. So the invoices are going to get even more digital. The quality of the underlying assets is going to be better. So I think that's what's coming, and those are quite exciting times.
Okay, thank you. Feel free to ask questions to our panelists through your app. I will look in the meantime to my mobile phone, not to pay an invoice, but to see if there are some questions coming, because this Android technology works much better than this tablet here in this room. And I would ask in the meantime, Eduard, if you look at CE and the technology perspective, a perspective of companies like MoroSystems, where do you see the main challenges?
I think companies similar to us, I mean, we are now not small company anymore, but I think every software house that wants to deliver its services to this region, they must focus on some and get some specialty on a specific field. This will give them a lot of expertise and experience they can share and offer to companies such as Roger and Orbian and some other similar companies. So we have been doing actually these projects for a while, 10–15 years. We are delivering services across the globe. So it was nothing surprising for us how to work with Orbian. So it's much easier. And there, as Tom said, there are many universities in Brno, Praha, and other cities, so they can offer a lot of smart people.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We have first question coming from public. Thank you for this. If you were 20 years old today, In Europe's current regulatory climate, what specific industry or skill would you bet your life on to ensure you could outcompete the global market? I will start with Tom because it's a global question. Tough one.
Yeah. I think that if I had to pick one area here, I would say that if you're 20 years old, you're smart, you're smart because you've grown up in the Czech Republic, and you are looking for something that is going to future-proof your career as well as possible. There has to be a concentration on the AI industry, because I think that is going to be transformative across so many sectors. And within that, I would say that becoming a prompt engineer, the understanding how to get the most out of, whether it's Claude or it's Gemini, or it is ChatGPT, or it's the evolving new technologies. It's the ability to question those in ways that develop the most meaningful answers. That's where I would start. I would see where by the time you're 22, I would see where the industry has moved on to, and I would that's where I would be concentrating my attention.
I think that one thing that will stay for sure is the interaction between people. So I think the sales in terms of interacting with people on a normal, ordinary basis, not through some virtual agents, is going to be important going forward. So there will be much less admin work because the machines are going to do that for us. But the bankers, for instance, on the front line, they will stay. There will be private bankers and corporate bankers because people just want to speak to people. So if you're good at that, you will always have a job.
You are. It's a question for public. You are required to answer.
Would you become a software engineer now?
That's a tricky. We'll see. I mean, how AI will shape our industry. It would be difficult for junior positions actually. If I'd be 20 years old and starting, so using AI is must, of course. So let's see how it goes. But we are closely watching and using AI, of course. But for some cases, we are just reluctant to use this technology. We are using, of course. I saw the previous panel about lending, and I don't agree with all these answers. We'll see, because if the project is complex and it's really there are many parties, the systems to be integrated. I don't want AI to do all the work at this moment. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, okay. So you push some kind of responsible development and responsible approach, which we are in the House of Regulator, they would like to hear it. You were so successful answering the question from public that there is another one coming. So I will start again with Tom. What do you think will be the biggest opportunity and challenge regarding the supply chain financing business regarding AI and technology in the next 3 years? So it goes to your vision, but specifically to your group. So where will you apply it most, where it brings more value added?
Yeah, I think, and again, it comes back to this theme about what we concentrate on, what we think about, and how we develop Orbian's unique USP. And where AI is going to impact us is as an aid to decision making, as an aid to customer service, as an aid to the formulation of new products and new working capital analytics. What it is not going to do is become a decision making principle for us. In other words, it's going to, and this goes a little bit to what we were just talking about a minute ago, what Adam was saying just a minute ago, is that the human touch, the human judgment is going to remain vital. And what we say right now is you can use AI to make reversible decisions. So use AI to help frame decision making where if they get the answer, or if we're subject to human judgment, you would make a different decision, you've got the chance to reverse the decision that the AI was making. So we are not using AI, and I don't anticipate it using it anytime soon, to release payments out to our customers. We still think that that is something that is going to require a degree of human intervention, human judgment around making decisions on when payments get released, because those are irreversible decisions. Once 30 million euros has left our account and gone to a ghost account in the Cayman Islands, we can't get it back. We need to make sure that we are using AI to assist those decisions, not being the principal in making those decisions.
The screen tells us here the time is up, but I still would like to invite both of you, Adam and Eduard, if you would like to briefly, very briefly comment.
Yeah, I will be very brief, because otherwise Tom is going to miss his flight and you are going to be even more hungry. So I'm super excited about two scenarios. So I'm really excited that I will be able to answer all my clients' questions outside working hours. If they want to talk to me, I will talk to them. If they want to write me, I will write them back. So that's something that was not possible and will be possible very soon. I'm also super excited to speak to all my clients around the world in their mother language. I will be able to answer a question from a Brazilian SME at 3 in the morning European time, and that's something that will be possible and is coming. So those kind of things, I'm really excited. I'm not going to push it to the sectors like Tom said, like payments, because I don't have the luxury of making mistake. So if it's 99.99, it can't make payments.
For technology companies, as MoroSystems is it's mandatory to use AI. So we are using. We are willing to use it more and more. But there are areas where we simply don't want to use that. So still, our senior staff is controlling the code, and especially it's about payments and the finances.
Okay, thank you. So thank you for your attention. I hope you have enjoyed our panel, and I would like to thank Thomas, Adam, and Eduard for coming here and share their views. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.